is going on, everybody? We got a little tech issues. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Building Stuff with Nova. This is the place, y'all, where we are considering ourselves a virtual mastermind, if you will, a virtual makerspace, an ideation laboratory. Yo, we had a little bit of tech difficulties, but if you can hear me, you can see me loud and clear. I need y'all to say something for me in the chat. Say, Dr. Nee, we see you. Because you know what? I see y'all in the chat. Shout out to people joining us today across platforms, across the Nova platforms. We have Facebook in the building. We have YouTube in the building. And, of course, we have our familiar Twitch building committee in the building. So let us know how you're feeling. We want to see you all coming through on chat. Shout out to A Clockwork. Cool. We see you. Pete Jellick, you see me. I love it. I'm so glad that you all are here with us today because today is a special day. As I take a look here just to make sure our layouts are all good to go, I want y'all to understand that today's guest here on Building Stuff in Nova is a phenomenal person. As a matter of fact, you may have already seen this person if you checked out some of the mainstream programming that exists across media. And yes, I'm talking about Jay Flores. That was just a little teaser. You all saw that on the screen. We got Jay Flores joining us today on Building Stuff with Nova. And if you don't know who he is, you will know today because this guest today is what we like to call a engineering STEM warrior, a STEM warrior. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on the screen with us today. Jay, welcome to the program. Here we are on Building Stuff with Nova. What's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
What's up? Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here again with you and your community, man. I'm pumped.
Super happy to have you with me. As he is right now in the green room, you all can see, it looks a little bit like a kitchen. I want you all to understand that today is a great day all around the theme that we like to call, or he likes to call rather, it's not magic, it's science. Go ahead and show your picture a little bit more on the screen. Come up a little bit, let people see it. Yeah, it's not magic, it's science. I'm gonna make sure that people can see. And you can come over to the right just a tad bit so people can see that in the screen. Other way. There we go. Perfect there.
Other way.
Yeah. Perfect. It's not magic, it's science. You all say hey to Jay Terrablazer. If you are on YouTube, Jay is also across the YouTube sphere. He's doing a lot of cool things in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math. And Jay, before we get into the nuts and the bolts of our programming today, tell them a little bit about yourself. Let them know, how did you even get into this whole STEM world that we find ourselves in?
Yeah, so I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My parents, from the time I was very young, really fostered my curiosity. I was one of those kids that was always pulling things out and trying to figure out what the world was like and why this thing that my mom used to cook could also be drum set for me. Like, I was always messing with their things, but instead of like getting in trouble for it, they actually encouraged it and allowed me to keep exploring. My parents recently retired and I got to see some videos from when I was growing up. We found a VHS player on Facebook Marketplace and we're able to watch some of those old VHS tapes. And there was one where I was about 3 years old and I was designing a plane and talking to my dad about it. My parents, it sounds like I'm some kid prodigy or whatever. No, I was designing the plane out of the couch cushions, right? So I moved everything around
That imagination.
And said, this is my airplane. And instead of getting yelled at, instead of getting told, keep everything back and put it organized, my dad took out the video and started recording it, right? And celebrating that curiosity. So I was very fortunate to have that fun, safe place to explore that. And then somewhere along the road, kind of science and math weren't as fun anymore. And I was the kid that was always, why would I ever need to use this again in my life? And I was probably a pain to some of my math teachers continuing to ask that question. But I'm glad I stuck with it and I kept that curiosity because eventually I did find some of those real life applications and found myself as an engineer in the STEM world. And now my mission is really just making sure that kids continue to have those cool, fun, entertaining experiences with math and science so that they never lose that spark of curiosity and they keep designing things and keep asking questions about how the world works and how we can make it better, more fun, safe, whatever it is that they're excited about.
Incredibly important. You all show some love in the chat. We see you both on YouTube and on Twitch. Let Jay know that you're excited to have him. We see you on James, Bobby, Smart, 451 on YouTube. And of course, our building committee of Clockwork, dropping the emotes, Trailblazer. Now, let me let you all know something. And Jay, you want you to know this as well. We are going to take moments where we're going to get questions from the chat. You've already shared a little bit about your background. And I know we have some very interactive demonstrations coming our way. But we will periodically see what the chat has to say so we can make sure we get a little bit of back and forth there. But before we get to what we have first up on the agenda, can you tell us a little bit about the professional work you were able to do so far in the areas of science and engineering? What are some of the projects you've been able to work on as someone who has a degree in mechanical engineering? You've also done work in materials engineering, a new topic that we're exploring here on the channel. Tell us a little bit about the cool day-to-day projects that you've been involved in.
Yeah, so I graduated from University of Wisconsin with my degree in mechanical engineering. I took all electives that I could in materials science engineering. So that's where I get that passion for that aspect of it. Mm-hmm. I really probably should have studied it from the beginning. I just didn't know it was a thing. So I'm glad, it's another opportunity for me to help people see all the different types of engineering and hopefully help students connect to their passion with it. But once I graduated, I started working with a company called Rockwell Automation, and we did industrial automation and controls for all types of industries. So my job ended up becoming basically like the show How It's Made, right? Like every day was going to different types of manufacturing environments and figuring out what they're trying to accomplish and how our products could allow them to do that more efficiently, safer, cheaper, faster, whatever they're helping meet those goals with our automation products. So I had everything from, a cement plant to a sugarcane place, wow, to a cookie factory. That was one of the coolest days ever. It was just imagine being in the largest building you've been in, but it's smelling like an oven with fresh baked cookies. Like it was the coolest experience that I've had, and made me very hungry. And I really wanted to, warm hot chocolate chip cookie off the line. I didn't get to have that.
But you got one? Did they let you get a?
I did not there, but man, I did get to eat a hot, warm Dorito chip off the line. Okay. Which was pretty awesome because you can't taste that anywhere else in the world other than freshly off the line. Yeah. So that was a really cool experience. I got a lot of those cool behind the scenes of how things are made and what it takes to get that product from, idea all the way onto the store shelf or into your house. Again, everything from chips to roller coasters got to be a part of making all of that possible. So it was very rewarding. And more importantly, for what I do now, I have all these wide variety of examples that I can leverage to inspire kids, because some kids are going to be inspired by how you make a roller coaster work. Others want to send things to space. Others might be just like big fans of chips and cookies and want to make, them healthier or even more flavorful. So it's really cool to be able to leverage those different examples to help kids find the STEM behind whatever it is they're passionate about.
Indeed. And we got some love coming in the chat. Everyone thought it's also fresh baked Doritos. That sounds great. Peach Alex says on YouTube, you all more than welcome to drop in your questions for Jay as well, and across any other platforms that you're joining us. Shout out to A Clockwork. Man, everyone is talking about everything you shared. But here's what we about to do. You have blossomed, much like myself, into someone who, again, has a passion for going out and inspiring people in the realm of science and engineering, doing demonstrations, talking to students across the globe. And we're talking now to people virtually. And what we're going to do now is share our screen a little bit. About to switch over to our screen share setup. And I think what we have in front of us is the prep, right? The prep for a particular demonstration. Let's go ahead and transition. Maybe you can give us a nice introduction to this whole concept of It's Not Magic, It's Science as you prepare to do your demonstration.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a couple different experiments from It's Not Magic, It's Science. We've got a balloon set up here. I'm actually going to start with one that I'm going to bring off from the other side. But basically what happened was, and the reason why we're in my kitchen of all places versus somewhere else, All right, sorry about that. I had a little pop up on the screen. So the reason why we're in my kitchen instead of somewhere else is
Mm-hmm.
that this is where It's Not Magic, It's Science was born. During
Uh,
the pandemic, I knew Zoom science and Zoom math were going to be very difficult for students and for teachers to keep the engagement. Sometimes those subjects are difficult enough in person, and now you take away the interactive opportunities, you take away any potential visits to science museums or
mm-hmm.
engineering manufacturing places. You're not going to be able to draw those connections, as I was mentioning earlier, between what you're learning in the classroom into the real life application. So I started thinking, like, what are some fun interactive activities that students could do that would be like really catchy on social media, but would then
Yeah.
encourage them to go back into their kitchen and
Mm-hmm.
grab the things that they need to go and do it. So
Yeah.
it's things like baking soda, vinegar. I've got a balloon here. Um, most almost everything that I design, you already have in your home, or you can order for very low cost online. Um, you mentioned American Ninja Warrior earlier, right? So the
Yeah, I was gonna ask
experiment
you
that
about
I
that.
did,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna connect to. I got almost everything for that experiment from the dollar store, right? And this was on prime time NBC TV, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's finding the ways to make it most accessible but not losing that entertainment factor. And honestly, I really was trying to figure out, how do I make these experiments even cooler than what most people are already doing? I didn't
Right.
invent any of the science behind any of these, but the presentation and the way in which I deliver the experiments, not just the energy, but actually the physical way in which I deliver them, and I can explain that as we go through some of them.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure we took that energy to the next level, and magic became one of those fun kind of themes between it, right?
Yeah.
And that allowed me to capture the attention of thousands, millions of people on social media that were just scrolling through during the pandemic, and we're like, oh, how did he do that? And since
Right.
I am a scientist and not a magician, I can actually tell you how it works. So
Well, if
I've
we're
got a
ready,
few
we're ready for the
that
magic.
I'll go through, but
Well, we're ready for
yeah,
not the magic, but the science that some people can think is
exactly.
magic. Yeah, 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 yeah. So what do you have with this balloon? Everyone sees this balloon here. Are we going to? Do we need to step back and get ready for a loud pop? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so we've got a balloon here that I've inflated. There's nothing different or special about the balloon. You can see it on both sides. Um, I've got it in this bowl just because I don't want it floating away, and I don't have an assistant with me right now to hold it.
Okay.
So that's the only reason why it's in this bowl, is so that it doesn't roll off of my table.
Okay.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a wand that I have, that I'm gonna then step back, and I'm going to, from a distance, pop the balloon with my wand.
What?
So most people have a magic word like an abracadabra, some kind of uh, science or sorry, magic or wizardry type of phrase that they'll say before they do their trick. But in this
Right.
case, I'm just going to say it's not magic, it's science. All right,
Right.
that's what's going
Right.
to help us pop this. So you'll still be able to see me in the frame back here. And then if you want to pay attention to the balloon itself, then you can look at our other camera right there. But I've
Yep.
got my magic wand right here, my science wand, and we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
go in 3, 2, 1. It's not magic, it's
It's
science.
science. Whoa.
And we pop that just with
A wand.
my little wand here,
What?
right?
Okay. Hold that
And
in.
so how
Hold
did
that
we do
close. Hold
it?
that wand close under the camera where the balloon was. Okay. That is.
Yep.
Wow. Y'all give it up. Drop some emotes. Drop some. There we go. Peach Ellie got the hand claps. If you were in
And
front of people, you
here's the
probably would
rest
hear a
of the
lot of
balloon
cheering.
after it popped.
Yeah. So the balloon is gone. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this was like sort of our screen sharing, but there was like a freeze frame almost that made it look like an invisible air, just the way the framework worked. So it looked even more magical here on virtual
That's cool.
screens, Jay. All right.
So how do we do it? It's not magic, it's science, right? So
Yeah.
in my magic wand, so then my magic wand here is actually a straw. So let me show you here, right? It's a metal straw.
It's a heart-shaped straw look like too.
It is actually a heart-shaped straw. For our love of science, right?
Yeah.
And so some of you may have in the past done this, where you take your finger and you cover one edge of a straw and you pick up the liquid from your cup, right? And then you release the finger and that liquid comes out.
Okay.
So off screen over here, I had this little canister with a little bit of liquid. And when I grabbed the wand, I grabbed it like this. And I basically did the same thing we do with covering the straw with our finger, but with my palm instead. So I was able to off screen grab some liquid without you realizing it because I have it stuck inside the straw with my palm there. And then, as I say, it's not magic, it's science. I flick the liquid at the balloon. But like balloons get wet, right? That doesn't cause a balloon to pop.
Water or liquid doesn't pop a balloon, from my experience.
Exactly, right? So the key was that this is a particular liquid called limonene. So it's found in citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, limes. You can actually do this experiment at home with just squeezing an orange peel. If you get a really thick orange peel and you squeeze it really hard, you'll see a tiny bit of liquid come out. If you get enough of it on the balloon, it'll do the same thing. What's happening is that limonene dissolves rubber. It's why it's used in a lot of like cleaning products, because it's good at, kind of getting all that dirt out. And essentially, instead of like poking a balloon with a pin, we're creating the same small hole, but with a liquid. So it's dissolving a tiny hole into the balloon that then causes it to pop. So basically using the science of just being able to grab the liquid and then the liquid dissolving the rubber allows us to pop the balloon. Now that my hands have some of the liquid on it, if I had another balloon here, I could actually just kind of pop it with my finger. That's one of my favorite ways to do it with the kids too. I'll get one that has confetti and I'll toss it up in the air with my hand that is dry.
Yeah.
And then I'll poke it into the crowd with my finger that has the liquid on it. And then it'll kind of pop the confetti all over everyone in the first couple rows.
Right.
So that goes to how I'm explaining, right? I saw the experiment with orange. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but it's kind of weird. You have to squeeze really tight and people kind of notice some things in your hand.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could get enough of this liquid to actually like put it in a spray bottle or something. That was my initial thought.
So you threw the liquid. Let me make sure I understand this. And shout out to everybody. All right, Clockwork is they're dropping some knowledge for us as well. But the fact of the matter is, when that touches the balloon, I guess it's so potent or so effective that it instantly sort of degrades the material. Like, that happened pretty fast.
Yeah.
It didn't like slowly but surely do it. It was quick.
So a couple of things there, right? Yeah, one, I am throwing it actually, right? So I captured it in my palm, right? And I am holding the liquid in basically at first so that you didn't realize I had any liquid. But then when I flicked the wand as if I'm pointing to pop the balloon like a wizard, I actually release it. So it shoots out, it splashes enough on the balloon that it dissolves. The other key thing is you realize the balloon was pretty big. Like, it was pretty thickly inflated, right? And so that's because I want the surface to be as thin as possible. So it has less to have to, kind of work through to dissolve. Right. So the more inflated the balloon is, the thinner the material is going to be at the point of contact, the quicker and more instant it will appear, right? And so I did this on American Ninja Warrior. I had 3 balloons out on the stage and I said, beat that wall, right? And I came out and was able to pop all 3 balloons before getting out on the course. But then I had to make sure I dried my hands off very well before getting on any obstacles.
Right. So that doesn't mess up. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But yeah, all it was a balloon and some limonene, right? And
awesome. Really
cool, blow your mind type experiment.
Got it. So what we're about to do is let you set up for a little bit and go back to another view, because you've been dropping, as you set up your next demonstration, you've been dropping a lot of information about American Ninja Warrior. And by the way, chat, you all are more than welcome to ask a question, and we don't have to just rely on mine. But American Ninja Warrior is something unique, and I would say that you don't see a lot of scientists and engineers, at least from my experience, like being that involved to as much as, in this physical activity, to the point that they're on these TV shows and everything. So I'm wondering if you can break down a little bit about like your experience being even an athlete, what even got you into this sort of level of fitness? What was it even like being on this type of a TV show? Can you share a little behind the scenes there?
Absolutely. So I ran track and cross country in high school, but I started a little bit late.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't start track until sophomore year, and then cross country junior year. And so when it was time to apply to colleges and stuff, I knew if I was going to do any running in school, it wasn't going to be at the top school.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to make sure I prioritized going to the better engineering school versus the school that I could run at.
Right.
But in that time, I really was like missing kind of that athletic itch, the competition, the camaraderie of being on a team and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I eventually found obstacle course racing, like the ones where you run long distance in the mud and obstacles and all that.
You get dirty.
And I fell in love with that. So I was doing tough mudders and Spartan races and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. Still with more of the running focus, but I started realizing, if I really want to do well and compete at the level I wanted to, I need to really start building up the obstacle strength. So I started doing some like Ninja Warrior type training. This was before there was gyms all over the place. Now you can go to ninja gyms everywhere. And eventually I found out about the show. I tried walk on at first. So I tried to just show up. It was in Miami. I was in Tampa. I drove down um, the night or the day of, and they film at night. So I was there for a couple hours. And I didn't get a chance. So the next year I was like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to camp out the night before. And there's no way I'm not going to be able to do this. And I show up the night before and there's already like 50 people there before I even got there in line.
Wow.
Eventually I tried, they had a lottery system. Eventually I found out you can actually apply. And so I started applying. 2 years ago, I got my first call, and would have been my 10th rejection if I didn't get the call.
Wow.
So the 10th time was the charm.
Wow. 10 times to get on to
Yeah.
get a call.
Exactly. So between the walk-ons, between the lottery system, between the actual applications, 10th time was when it actually came about. And it's wild because you get one chance. You don't get to try any of the obstacles before. They do a walkthrough where you get to see it. You see someone else do it once, but you don't get to touch anything. You don't get to go up there and see, the distances and how it feels or anything like that. You get one shot. And after, trying for 10 years and being at the start line, I'm like, please don't fall on the first obstacle.
Right.
Because no matter how good or poorly you do, you still have to apply again.
Right.
So it's an extreme amount of pressure.
Man.
On top of that, everything is so large. There's water that you're over. There's, cameras and lights and
people.
There's millions of people on the other side of those cameras.
Yeah.
So that's been, that was pretty intense. And then this past season, my episode just aired on Monday, and I got another shot at it, and it was just such a cool, again, experience. And this time I got to bring a lot of It's Not Magic, It's Science to the show. Do some experiments at the beginning. And then I was a featured story this time. So we were able to go out into community, and they sent some cameras, and we kind of captured some of my story and the impact I'm trying to have. So it's been awesome. Go ahead.
My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I want people to know that this is you were on there just recently, and that you actually, people watching chat, you all can check out a clip from it by going online. I guess maybe following you online, or maybe they have replays that they can check out. But this is recent. This wasn't like in the past. This was their second appearance on there, and you were able to bring more science to this broader audience, which I think is cool, and I want people to be able to know that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you weren't able to watch it live, you can stream it again on Peacock. On my LinkedIn, I have a short clip that they gave me. They don't allow me to share the whole thing.
Right.
But it was most of the science segment that we did that they allowed me to share on all of my socials. Right now, I just put it on LinkedIn, and I'll figure out how to put it in Reels format for the other spots. But yeah, it's just such an awesome opportunity to be able to show up to such a family-friendly show, and showcase science in a way that most people weren't expecting, but hopefully got excited about. Right, they came to watch an athletic competition, but got to see some really cool experiments as well, and then see that person. Right, we view either people as a science person or as a sports person. We don't always see that connection, and you can do both, and you can do very well in both if it's something that you're passionate about.
Got it. 2 more questions before we go to the next one. We screen share again, But one of the questions about Ninja Warrior was, is it more mental than physical? Maybe you can give a quick answer on that. And then we got James 420 on the screen that also asked a question that we'll come back to about the balloon experiment we just did. But mentally versus physically on Ninja Warrior, what are your thoughts?
So it depends on how you view it. As a sport in general, like going to a gym, competing in local competitions and stuff, it's both. The physical part can get very intense.
Yeah.
Once you're at a certain level of having trained and had experience, the show is actually sometimes easier than some local competitions.
Really?
It becomes the mental game that's more of a factor, right? It's the preparation for that moment.
Okay.
Like as I'm going through and I'm doing, like the course walkthrough that we're talking about the rules and they show everything. I'm like, okay, I've done stuff like this, but it's like, can you execute when you've got one chance, when all the pressure's on? It's kind of like your Super Bowl moment, right? So that's the difference. That's what makes the show a little bit more mental, because you'll see some really talented athletes not do so well, or they'll have some seasons where they absolutely crush it, and then others, it's a small mistake that causes them to not make it. But it's mental, not in just like your preparation of keeping yourself calm and focused and everything. I think it's actually like an advantage for me as an engineer and scientist is being able to analyze what you're about to take on without being able to touch it, right? Basically creating a solution in your mind before you get to do it yourself.
Right.
And that happens in a couple different ways. That happens when something doesn't go the way that you expected it to go when you're on the obstacle, and how do you adjust and correct? That happened to me on the second obstacle this season, where I started kind of going into a spin and I had to stay calm and redirect my momentum so that I could complete the obstacle. And then also, how do you analyze an obstacle that you've never done before and try to see like where's the tricky point where it might, you might slip up. And so balance obstacles are one that are very key for that, analyzing how the things that you're balancing on move so that you don't, as it moves, you don't freak out and try to stop yourself, because that's going to kill your momentum. You're going to fall. Right. As it moves, you got to keep your momentum going. And how do you make sure you at least get it to the final platform? I've had some really ugly completions because I kind of just stumbled my way in, but it's better than getting wet and not completing the obstacle. So
a win is a win. A win is a win. That's a good question. And then one more question, back to the science here. How much longer do you think it would take to pop a normally inflated balloon, right? Like if we're using that, the method you used again with the liquid.
Yeah. It's still a matter of seconds, right? So if it's a little thicker and you have enough liquid, right, it's still going to dissolve through it. It'll take a little longer. If you watch closely on my Ninja Warrior one, I was hoping that they would pop from left to right, like with the words, but the middle one actually lasted the longest. So that could have been either it didn't get as much liquid contact with it, or maybe it wasn't as, maybe the spot where which the liquid contacted was a little thicker than the other balloons. I can't tell 100%. Right. But yeah, those are kind of the factors. The amount of the liquid that makes contact with the balloon, and then the thickness of the balloon at that point of contact. But it's still relatively quick. If you're doing it with the orange peel, it's going to depend on how much you can squeeze out of it, right? That might take a little bit longer. But I basically ordered a bottle of the liquid to make it easier for me to do my version of the experiment.
In your kitchen, that is, right?
Yeah. For the next one, we actually don't need the experiment cam. I'm going to do this next one.
Oh, we don't? We're going to go straight? Okay, cool. So we can go back.
We can go straight
to, I was ready to show. All right, so go ahead. What do you have in front of us? We should be able to see. Chat, thanks for those questions. I'm going to make sure that we can see enough of Jay's camera here. Jay, what do you have in front of you? What are you holding on to?
Yeah, so definitely not, today, because we've got some exciting stuff going on, and in these streams, all kinds of cool stuff and guests and everything. But I'm sure in college or maybe a work meeting, you had a point where you're like, this meeting should have been an email, right? And you're just extremely bored, right? And so you take a paper clip and you're so bored, you start to deform it, right? You're just playing around, trying to kill time. And you might do something like this and bend that paper clip. You might have done this even in school as a kid, or anytime you were bored. Getting that paperclip back into its original shape is possible, but it takes some time, and it doesn't always, go exactly back to its original shape. So if I were to just take my It's Not Magic, It's Science cup and then take our paperclip and get it to go immediately back into its original shape,
Whoa.
that might blow your mind, right? So
Man,
let me do that one more
hold on.
time.
Do that one more time. You can't speed past that one. Do that one more time, and I want to make sure
Right?
y'all see
So
what just happened.
let me see. Does it look better here in the light or right in front of me?
Right in front of you is good. Right in front of you is good.
Okay, right in front of me works good. So basically, all you need is an It's Not Magic, It's Science cup. You put it in really quick, and it changes back into its original shape.
I need to get one of those cups for my brain. Can I get one of those cups for my brain when I need to remember? Because that's basically what's happening here. Y'all got to show some love in that. Drop some emotes, some celebratory, make some noise in the chat. But basically, it just memorized the shape that it was in. Is that basically what we just saw, in a sense?
Pretty much, yeah. So this, you nailed it, right? This isn't your ordinary paperclip. One of the funniest things I've gotten from parents before, because the kids get excited about the experiments, they ask the parents if they can do it.
Yeah.
And I got a picture from a parent with a bunch of paper clips on their stove, and they weren't going back to their original shape. So this particular paperclip is made out of something called memory metal. Okay. It's also known as nitinol because it's a nickel titanium alloy, right? And so nitinol has a certain memory that's activated by temperature. So what I had in my It's Not Magic, It's Science cup is hot water. So you might not have been able to see that.
Okay.
But I'm basically heating it up with the hot water, and it instantly changes back into its original shape. I'm going to show you guys again with this spring. So this is a nitinol spring. Mm-hmm. So as I stretch it out, think about like when you messed up a slinky when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, you get all
you might try to pull
order.
something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really hard. Once you've kind of overstretched it, you can't really get it back. Anytime I try to push it back, it kind of buckles off to the side, right?
Okay.
And so I'm going to do it in a little bit of slow motion, and in the sense that I'm only going to introduce a little bit of it to the heat. So you'll start to see that parts of it that have touched the hot water
going back to where it needs to be.
Go back. But the top over here where my hand is and hasn't touched the heat is still in its original shape. So it's really that temperature that causes it to basically activate the memory of what its original shape was.
Okay, so break that down. Break that down a little bit more. We like, shout out to the building committee, shout out to Nova. We like to get into the weeds a little bit. What can you tell us again when you get deeper into sort of just the material science of what's taking place? I don't know. Is it structures? Mm-hmm. Is it restructuring itself molecularly? Like, what's going on?
Essentially, yeah. So it's based on how it was originally formed, right? Because these are different shapes. Like, why doesn't it go back to a paperclip? Why does it go to a spring? Mm-hmm. And so in the shape in which it's originally like formed and treated is what it wants to go back to. But in order to do that, it needs the assistance from the temperature, right? And so it's almost like a transition temperature, or it's like a memory temperature, right? And that's what allows it to go back to how it was. So
the transition
in real life, you'll see this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You'll see this in things like braces.
Okay.
Where the heat from your mouth causes, the alloy to activate, right, and kind of pull your teeth to where the orthodontist wants it to go. There's some cool examples with glasses, right? Like if you were accidentally to sit on your glasses or something like that, right? You could try to get it back into their original shape instead of having to buy a new frame. One of the coolest examples I got, it isn't real life yet, but it's part of what I try to do is inspire, like, with this cool science, what are things that we could do in the future?
Right.
And I had this little 6-year-old kid tell me for a car wash, and I was really confused at first, and the kid goes,
use this technology for a car wash.
It makes total.
This particular thing for a car
Say
wash?
Say it again?
You talking about we could use this material for a car wash? That's what a kid told you?
That's what the kid was saying. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, it makes total sense. If you get into a car accident, you just drive to the hot car wash and then your car goes back to normal. I was like, what? Best idea ever.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Let's start this business.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It just shows that they're, they have that curiosity. They have that kind of spark in them that as we get older, sometimes we worry too much about the restrictions or how it won't work or how much it would cost and all that, right? Versus when I work with kids, like they have the best ideas, and it's just like, how do we help them see the science in different ways?
Right.
So that, yeah, maybe that's not possible today, but maybe
Yeah.
in 5, 10, 15 years, whenever it's their turn to,
Yeah.
take their shot at engineering, they might be able to bring some of those things to the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I use specific things that, I can do this with a straight wire, right?
Right.
But I use the paper clip because you've deformed one before.
Yes.
You know what it feels like.
Yes.
You know what it's supposed to do. You know what it's not supposed to do. So if I can show you that it does something that it's not supposed to do, then like how else could we apply this, right? How else could we change things that we've always accepted as the way they are? And that, part of that is the magic aspect of it, but part of it is like, yeah, let's bring it to real life because it's actual science. I'm not using smoke and mirrors,
Right.
and like, using a remote control somehow to change it. Like it's the
actual
science that's
yeah.
doing it.
Jay, let me jump in because you said a lot that like blew my mind actually. And shout out to everybody in the chat. We got some questions. Keep your questions coming in. I'm gonna ask you, but one, I didn't realize that braces use this. Like braces is made out of this material, so it's because your mouth heats.
So it might not be the exact same alloy, but similar concept.
Similar
right?
concept.
That they use certain types of alloys like that in the wire that they use, not the brackets and stuff.
Right, but the wire
that
and the transition temperature causes it to want to change shape, which helps straighten your teeth. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So that pulls on it a little, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Zoeris. We see Zoeris, a member of the building committee, hang out with us. And if you don't know this off the top of your head, we always got Nova, by the way, in the chat that can help us with some of these facts. But is this the same thing as shape memory alloy? Is this basically what we're talking about?
Yeah.
So it is the same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I mean, there's different uses, there's different shapes, there's different thicknesses.
Yeah.
All that, can vary. But like if you were to look up and you wanted to get one of these, you would look up a nitinol paperclip or nitinol spring.
Yeah.
And the nitinol name comes from the nickel and the titanium that's part of it.
Got it. And shout out to that kid, whoever that kid was. Like whenever that kid becomes an engineer and we design cars that get crumbled up in an accident, but you go through a car wash and it comes right back. Listen, I want that car. So shout out to you. Magnificent piece of knowledge. Thank you for this, Zoe share. Thank you so much. Jay, do we have another use for the camera here? You got a nice little setup.
Yeah, we've got one more that we'll use the science cam for.
Okay. Well, before we switch to the camera one more time, go ahead and get your questions in the chat. Jay, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about some of the other, because your career is varied, and I've known you for a while, and obviously everyone shared about the information with manufacturing, or everyone was wowed by the information you talked about manufacturing. You've done mechanical engineering. You've also done a little bit of robotics, haven't you? Like you don't have to go too deep in there, but you've done a little bit of robotics and things of that nature too, haven't you?
Yeah, so that was more so through a nonprofit called First, where students are competing in robotics. But Rockwell Automation, where I started my career, is one of the bigger funders of that organization, and they do it in a unique way. They do donate money wise, but they also donate products that automate the playing field that the robots compete on.
Yeah.
They also do it for a lot of other cool things like battle bots and stuff.
Yeah.
But specifically, I would work with the playing field for the high school robotics competition, and I would work with our local sales office with them to figure out what products they would need for each season, because each season has a different challenge.
Right.
So one year we might be grabbing some sensors to score points that objects that go through a certain kind of goal, right? Or one year, for example, we had to score tons of balls. Like their robots that year were just shooting a whole bunch of things, and they were wiffle balls, so there's holes in them, right? So like, how does that sensor need to be different and be like a different setup based on the fact that the ball is now a different color, a different size, it's got holes in it now, right? So every summer we would kind of come up with those different engineering needs to basically elevate the level of the gameplay for students so that it just becomes more exciting for them to compete in, so that we can challenge them more in their builds, but then also to make it more exciting for spectators. So, something as simple as in the past, a lot of times they were limited by what they could manually score with judges, right? But, putting some more automation into there, a bit more sensors, the scoring then is now real time. So that engages your audience even more, right? So it was really cool to be able to apply what I was doing in kind of the manufacturing space to this robot competition that was then in turn inspiring the next generation of those students that were going to be in the manufacturing space.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then that other cool part of my job there was helping draw the connections, right? So this sensor that we provide for you on your robot is allowing you, I don't know, to determine if the ball is in the right place that you want it to be. But in real life, that same sensor could be determining if the part is on the right spot of the car or whatever it is that you're manufacturing. Right? So it was really cool to be able to create the environment that inspires them, but then also then show the connection to how you take what you love about your robotics competition and use it to make cars or cookies or real world applications.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, as I transition here, shout out to our question on YouTube, and I don't know if this is something that Nova can maybe drop a link for, but someone's brought up the fact that water has memory. I don't know if that's related at all, but are the same properties of shaped alloys the same thing that leads to water having memory? If you don't know that, we can always ask our friends at Nova. Shout out to our Nova team who's always with us to fact check. But I don't know if you had any quick thoughts on that as we transition to our screen share again.
I'm not sure if I understand the question fully, so I think we'll let Nova.
Yeah. The whole water memory thing, that sounds like something that we definitely have to dig into a little bit more. So maybe Nova can drop information on that. But right now, we have our screen share yet again for little white squares, what I can see on my end.
So basically this is just a napkin. So this is my launch pad. It's going to keep the surface a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
And we're basically going to make what's called a little fizzy rocket. So normally when I do my show with students, we do this with a paint can, and I launch this thing pretty high using vinegar and baking soda. So one of the cool things about vinegar and baking soda is they're very low cost, but you can do a lot of really cool experiments with them. Normally what I do is I have a large empty paint can. I have a cup with vinegar and I have a cup with baking soda. So together, I have it on the table, nothing happens, right? It's a sealed. When they're separate, nothing happens. But what happens is eventually I just flip it over. That causes them both to mix, creates carbon dioxide gas. Eventually, that gas doesn't have anywhere else to go, so it causes the can to pop up into the sky. I've had some pretty high launches. My ceiling at home is not going to withstand that, so we're going to do the at-home fun.
The at-home version. We're not trying to put a nice sunroof in your kitchen unnecessarily.
Exactly. But that's also, it's something that's very important to everything I do. I never want a kid to see one of my experiments and feel like they can't do it, right? Science and math are already challenging enough sometimes for us. Yeah. There's already enough math and science anxiety out there. I want everyone that sees this to be like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I can do that. Both from a cost perspective, right? I don't want it to be cost inhibitive to kids. And then also just like, even if I am doing something bigger and cooler that they might not be able to physically because of their, the room they're in or safety or whatever. I always want to have like smaller version, just like with the limonene. You might not have a bottle of limonene, but you can go get an orange and do the same experiment at home. So basically for this one, we're going to do very similar, but instead we're going to have Alka-Seltzer tablet. And we're going to use some of the water that I had earlier. We're going to fill a little bit of water into the canister. And essentially, I'm going to drop in half of a tablet. I'm going to cover it very quickly and flip it over. It could happen very fast. It might take a little while.
Okay.
The other day I did it in this elementary school. And the kids were like counting down. Our first countdown didn't work, but their second countdown nailed it right at 10 at one go. Man. Yeah. And they killed it. So let's see what happens here. But basically, I'm gonna flip it. Similar reaction is gonna happen, right? The Alka-Seltzer tablet and the water are gonna create some gas, and it's gonna cause our little rocket to launch up into the air. Okay. If you're doing this with kids, You can have them design their rocket. You can have them design their launch pad, different kind of like decorations and stuff too. I feel like the more you incorporate art into the start of it, like you extend that playtime that you have with the kids in the experiment. All right, so ready? We're gonna go pretty quick. Make sure I cap that well.
Let's see. All right.
Whoa, that was a very quick
So check this out.
launch.
Oh no, Jay, we got to do another one. I'm gonna tell you why, because we got a little lag here on the screen, and it lagged right before it went up. I hope we got another one, but
we can do it again.
Okay. Let's do another one.
Let me grab it.
That was amazing. Did y'all see that? We didn't even have time to count, Jay. It wasn't even time to do a count.
Right. So I think one of the reasons might be I used the really hot water from before, right? So this is one thing I tell the kids to experiment as well is, do you use hot water? Do you use cold water? Do you fill it up with a lot of water, little? How big of a tablet is a good idea or not? So we're using hot water right now, so it may happen a little bit more quickly.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Let me come back to the screen share. We try. This is so magical. This science is so magical. Sometimes the bit rate or the sample rate of our technology can't even like keep up with it. So let's check it out. I love what we see through the middle of the napkin there on the thing though. We see that. Was that a reveal?
So I had that written in Sharpie on the bottom, right, and then folded this piece over. So once the kind of blast off happened, right, it wets the paper towel and you reveal the message. Just little bonus things that I've just like kind of found and how do I connect the experiments. Kids love secret messages and things like that. So not only do you get this cool explosion, you get to reveal your message. So
it's just water Alka-Seltzer, water Alka-Seltzer, and you put the top on there, and then let's see what happened chemically. Yep. Okay.
So this is actually the same tablet, right? So I can tell. I don't know if you guys can see it that well, because I have to look close to it. But I can tell that some of it dissolved off, right? But it's about the same size as it was before, so it reacted pretty quickly. So we're gonna go quick.
Let's see.
Seal it well. Flip it over.
Let's catch it. Catch it. Come on, internet. Come on, internet. Catch it. Oh man, Jay, we missed it. This thing is like a real rocket launch here. Chat, I hope you all still know what's going on here. We're missing in action because of our bandwidth here. But Jay, break it down again. What's inside of like what's happening chemically exactly with the tablet in the water?
Yeah, so when if you've ever used Alka-Seltzer tablet and put it into whatever drink, you start to see the fizzing. Yeah, right? And that's gas basically is building up inside of the film canister. And as long as you have a film canister that has a slightly tight seal, that pressure is going to build up and needs to go somewhere, right? So the gas is building up, needs to go somewhere. Eventually it's strong enough to be able to pop it up. And I hit my roof twice with both of those. I wish you guys could have seen it better. It's a pretty solid launch.
But a lot of science.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just water and Alka-Seltzer tablet. That's all you need, and then the film canister. Yeah. And if you can and you want to do the bigger version at home, don't do it inside. Do it outside. With the paint can, just 2 separate cups, right, to separate your vinegar and your baking soda. And then flip it over. Make sure you have safety goggles for that one. Yeah. Flip it over. And it'll launch pretty good as long as you had a tight seal on it.
I love it. Hey, listen, shout out to chat. You all can still show some love. The Opa guy. All right, just need Coke and Mentos. That's another experience people have done. Put the Mentos in the Coca-Cola.
Yep. There's a good video on my Instagram with my son. So he was doing a little slow-mo video contest. And so we decided to do the Coke and Mentos, but we did it. And again, I'm always trying to find what's the fun way to do it. Yeah. We did it where he's like, my name is Gio, and this is the coolest way to make a root beer float. And so he's sitting there with safety goggles and a bowl of ice cream. And then Mom and I both have Coke bottles with Mentos. And we basically just sprayed him with soda.
And you captured it in high sample rate and put it in slow motion. What you're saying? Y'all watched it back on slow motion?
Well, yeah, we filmed it in slow-mo camera. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's just like him just being splashed
Oh my goodness.
with Coke, and he's got his ice cream there. We also did that trend where they say it's like a TikTok and Instagram trend where they say, you know, mom, I want to join karate, and then the mom's like, no, you're gonna do, you know, whatever it is that they chose to do instead of karate.
Yeah.
And then it's like them at 3 a.m. trying to defend the house from a burglar with whatever skill was dancing or playing the piano or whatever. So we did the same thing. It's like, you know, no, you're going to science camp instead. And our defense of our house was shooting Coke with Mentos and doing the little paint can explosion and everything. So just always finding those fun ways to make the experiments unique and cool and different. You know, people have done the orange peel before, but I hadn't seen anyone do it with the wand.
Yeah.
I've seen tons of people have put Mentos into Coke, but I've never seen someone make a root beer float with it. Just always trying to think outside the box and how we get kids excited.
Jay, so you've been very great, and I want you to hang on for a second. Shout out to everybody in the chat. People have been asking questions about what happens when you put it in your stomach. So shout out to herself, Kevin McAllister, School of Home Defense. We love it. We love it. So Jay, I'm gonna ask you one more question. Y'all chat. We're gonna let Jay go here in just a second. But before I come back on our last little small segment, I want to make sure that everybody in the chat knows what we got going on. Now we're doing this every day, y'all. 1 p.m. Eastern. Earlier this week, we've already done Kerbal Space Program with Elio, somebody we both know, Jay. Earlier this week, we also started building our Artemis space launch model, Lego model yesterday. We're going to pick that up tomorrow, chat. So make sure you come and hang out with us on Twitch if you're on YouTube or any other platform. And Twitch, y'all know where to find us every day, same time, same place. Obviously, today on Wednesday, we've been hanging out with Jay. But tomorrow, and this is what I wanted to get your thoughts on really quickly, Jay, when we get into a brainstorming session around the idea of designing an engineering escape room. And we've been bringing in a lot of partners. Shout out to people. If you're brand new to this, by the way, YouTube, hit subscribe. If you're on Twitch, great time to hit follow, because we are, you know, progressively and incrementally building a four-day escape room that we're going to premiere at the end of this season of Building Stuff with Nova. And we're going to be going through everything from structural engineering to mechanical engineering, aerospace. We're going to bring a little bit of material science where we can as well, Jay. So you all hang out with us tomorrow if you want to help contribute to that. And most importantly, when we do it, we want you all to participate, because we're going to have our entire community on Twitch participate to help our contestants in real life get out of those escape rooms. And I'm just curious, if you have anything really quick before we let you know, go, Jay, that if you were to design an escape room around material science, just spitball, if you can, just maybe spitball one or two things that just come to mind out the gate before we say goodbye.
Yeah, so my family loves escape rooms. My son is a big fan of them, and my sister and her husband, we've done a bunch with them as well. So we've done all different kinds. You start to see some kind of patterns, right, of like what's in them. So I feel like since you're only doing it for 4 days, you have this opportunity to do something that most escape rooms might not do.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, costs or whatever thing, you know, they can't have something that's consumable because they need it for the next person that's coming in right away.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just because we just mixed some stuff right now, but I'm thinking like, how do you get something that, I don't know, you mix together and then it gives you a color as an answer or something, right?
Yeah.
But then most escape rooms wouldn't be able to do something like that because they need the room ready for the next group. And
well, listen, we're still early in the process, man. So because we're going 4 days, you're right. We could think outside the box here with our ideas of how to bring in some of these things you're talking about. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah. You had any other thoughts on that?
No, you're good. So, I mean, for example, my first experiment that I did on my first season of Ninja Warrior was basically a timed color change. So the experiment basically takes a certain amount of time to happen, but then it feels like instantly I changed the color of something.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, how do you do something where, you know, their answer needs to be green, right?
Yeah,
but you get them to mix blue and yellow somehow to get the answer. make it a little bit sciencey feeling.
Yeah.
Something along those lines, that would be pretty cool.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to launch some paint cans too to blast open the
We do
last
have a
door, I
launch.
don't know.
We talked
That
about a
might
rocket
not
launch.
be as
Yeah, but we'll see
Yeah.
what we can do. The secret message idea is great. Shout out to herself saying that in the chat. And Jay, you have been a pleasure. I hope everybody goes and follow you online. It's on the socials. Shout out to Nova. Nova dropped your Instagram not that long ago in our chat. So you all go and follow Jay. Jay, we love the fact that you are an engineer, you are a ninja warrior, and you are an incredible inspiration to many, many people, young and old, to dive into the sciences, to dive into engineering, to dive into STEM, and to realize it's just a part of their everyday life. So that being said, I just want you to know that we appreciate you, and we look forward to collaborating again. Anything real quick on your goodbye?
Yeah, just appreciate the opportunity, appreciate hanging out with you guys and all that you're doing to help inspire and get people excited of all ages. And as you guys connect, feel free to reach out at any point, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, etc. But definitely please share with some kids. So, share some of this stuff with people in your community so that they can get excited and we can keep that ripple effect going on. So I appreciate the connections, but please then just spread it out to people in your area.
Indeed. Y'all show some love. Drop some emotes. Zoairs is bringing it in the chat. We see you over on YouTube. Let's say thank you so much. Shout out. We see you, Paul. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us live here on Building Stuff with Nova. We are going to be back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Come on over to Twitch if you're not on Twitch. If you are on Twitch, I hope you hit follow, because we're going to be doing this for the remainder of the summer, and we can't wait to have you all participate in our engineering themed escape room. So that being said, until next time, we hope you all take care. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.